Vice President Kamala Harris was tapped for the border crisis role, and of course she still hasn't visited the border. She has not held a press conference, and we are keeping count. Her sudden silence on kids in cages has a lot of Americans confused. Instead, she has recently visited places like Connecticut and California and Chicago. President Biden issued a statement this week defending his border czar for her failure to visit the southern border. Quote, "When I served as vice president, I asked to be the last person with the president before big decisions were made, and VP Harris is providing the same counsel to me. She's the last voice in the room and never fails to speak the truth as we work to build our nation back better." Let's talk about the situation on the southern border now and welcome in Tennessee Senator Marsha Blackburn. So, you know, President Biden wants things to be just like they were when he was the vice president and be the last voice in the room. I also remember some things I'm not going to repeat here that President Obama used to say about Joe Biden and his tendency to mess things up a little bit. But it's a simple question. Senator, you've been to the border. Why hasn't the vice president been to the border, the area she's supposed to be searching for root causes on?
It was so interesting, first of all, to see that she was appointed to oversee the border situation. Of course, they still will not refer to it as a crisis. But then she is basically turning a blind eye, and she is silent on the situation at the border. Now, how can you be silent on the issues at the border when you're supposed to be in charge of it? You don't go, you don't see, you don't experience firsthand, and basically you have nothing to say. Now, I will tell you this, I have, since 2015, I have said we needed to have an envoy who would deal specifically with the issues in the Northern Triangle and address the issues in these countries, because when you talk with the leadership in these countries, they really do not want to be left to be beholden to the cartels or to the communists. What they would like to do is have some independence. But just throwing money at the situation, having nothing to say about the situation, keeping the border open and allowing illegal aliens to enter the country without going through the proper asylum claim process, this is unconscionable.
All right, on the bottom of your screen here, you see the White House press briefing. I believe this is the COVID response coordinator, Jeff Zients, who was speaking there. We'll set that aside for a moment and focus more of our attention down on the border. Senator Blackburn, as we mentioned, you have been down on the border. We're going to show some pictures here that you provided to us. Talk to us about what you saw.
Yes, I was in Arizona, and I was out with two sheriffs. They're in Cochise County and Pinal County, Sheriff Daniels and Sheriff Lamb. And what I saw was the path that the migrants are walking. I wasn't up in a plane looking at it, you know, from 10,000 feet above. We were walking the path. We were seeing the destruction of the land. We were seeing firsthand what has happened, where they are building the wall, the holes that were left in the wall. And the video on your screen right now is there at the wall. And you can see where the roads have been plowed through. This needs to be finished. First of all, you want to be able to protect the land that belongs to private citizens on the U.S. side of that border wall. They deserve to be able to have their property rights preserved. And then also, we have to bear in mind that these immigrants are walking through that area, through this private property. They are destroying some of the area where cattle are actually in these
Senator,
fields, these ranches.
You use the term immigrants, and you know, I think a lot of these people are in fact immigrants, but we have seen video provided to us as well from ranchers, and some of these guys are wearing, you know, military fatigues and have backpacks stuffed with drugs. And so, yes, of course, I'm sure people are seeking refuge in this country, but we also know this situation is being exploited very badly by the coyotes and criminal elements as well.
That is exactly right. It is being exploited. And the cartels are very sophisticated. They're in Arizona, the Sinaloa cartel. El Chapo's cartel runs that border. They're responsible for half the drugs that come into this country. And you're exactly right. These guys are coming through, they're dressed in fatigues from head to toe, including the carpet shoes. Their backpacks are filled with drugs. And what are they doing? They're trying to get over to I-8 or I-10. The cartels, as I said, very sophisticated, with outposts that are in place up on these mountains. They are radioing down to these guys, telling them where to go over to the interstate. A car will stop, pick them up, and then off they go to distribute their drugs. Off they go for human trafficking, for sex trafficking, for bringing gangs into communities. That is what is happening. Every town's a border town. Every state is a border state because what is happening on the border?
Go back and check the tape. This is what President Trump meant when he said they are not bringing their best. Of course, he was excoriated for saying that, but we know that. We've seen the video, and what happens when you lighten up on these policies, they see this as an opportunity to take advantage. Senator Blackburn, your colleague John Cornyn questioned yesterday if Biden was really in charge as president. We ask this question all the time about Kamala Harris when it comes to the border. We heard what he said as well, the president, about she's the last person in the room giving him his counsel. I mean, the question remains, who is in charge these days with the administration? President Biden seems so intent on elevating Kamala Harris to being co-president right now. It can be a little confusing for some of us.
It is confusing because you need a strong, focused, determined leader who is going to be in charge. And right now, you get varying messages that are coming from different divisions of this administration. And does that cause concern? Of course it does. We do know that this administration has gone to a far leftist tilt. And John, I've had so many people in Tennessee who will say, oh, well, you know, maybe I voted for Biden, but I sure didn't vote for this.
A lot of regret out there. We got 30 seconds real quick.
A lot of buyer's remorse.
Real quick, I wanted to ask you about these two new appointees that President Biden has chosen. They are critics of President Trump's immigration policies, including Tucson, Arizona Police Chief Chris Magnus. He's been tapped to become the commissioner of CPB. Also, immigration policy expert Mendoza Jadu. You're Mendoza Jadu, that's the name of the director of Citizenship and Immigration Services. Real quick, your reaction on these two names.
One of the things we have to realize is if you're going to have appointees that are in the area of border security, and if they are for unsecure borders, then they are not serving the American people or the rule of law or the U.S. Constitution well.
Right. These are big departments with big budgets.
Yes.
Deserve some close inspection. We know you'll give that inspection to this issue. Great to see you, Senator Blackburn. Thanks so much.
Good to see you. Bye.
Hey, I'm Rob Finnerty. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please join the conversation in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe, too. Hit the bell icon to be alerted to breaking news. And remember, there's a whole lot more on Newsmax TV, America's fastest growing cable news network. Newsmax TV, where real news for real people.